Hey, it's Court, and I'm continuing with my tutorial, and I'm going to start adding some musicality to the phrases so we can start experimenting with different types of neuro basses. So all I've really done is drop in the funky drummer break. I'm sure you guys have heard it before. Sounds like this. Oops. Right. And I've dropped over a real pumpy compressor to bring out some interesting parts, and then an instance of EQ8 to bring out the bass. Now, something I've done interesting over here, which not many people know about, is that there's a transient setting on your any audio clips that you drop in. So this is how it normally sounds, but if we bring down the transient, it only plays through like the very first little bit of each transient it's text. So it sounds like this. Similar to gating kind of drum loops. So here I've just flanged and I've I've flanged and I've bit crushed just a little break that I'm using to kind of go into the second section. And so that kind of has like a cool little ring to it. Up in the growl, I dropped over our second growl just an auto filter to kind of bring out some interestingness to it, and then just kind of a mastering limiter over the top to make things loud. So that's the first phrase with that bass, and then in my second growl, I've done like a massive pitch shift, and this little sound is created by just pitching down. And when we get to these really, really low territories, we start slowing down the sample playback by a ton, and we start expanding these wave cycles to the point where this starts to have sort of like an amplitude matrix over the top, which is what's creating this little sub-wub where I don't even have MIDI notes. If you can hear it. You hear it? That's just cycling through these waves, and now they're amplitude modulated because they've been shift down 24 semitones. All right, so let's hear our loop in full, and I'll take this part out because that's the bass we're going to be making. Here it is. And what I'd like to do today is make some FM neuro kicks, and I'll kind of play the melody that they're going to be played in. Sounds boring as shit, but you kind of get the idea. And the question is, how do we make this sound badass? Because that's what we're all about when we're electronic producers. Doesn't matter if it's good, it's just got to be badass. All right, so like I said, we're going to be making kicks, so we got to think about the transient nature of kicks. Kicks have a very interesting thing going on, and we have some down here that we can just look at the audio signals directly. They have this transient, non-cyclic nature where you can't really sustain any portion of a kick because they're essentially just a very low-pitched click with white noise over the top. So we're going to be using that idea and FM synthesis to sort of build the same type of sound. So there's our sound. Yeah. We want everything a little bit lower. Maybe like that loud. All right, cool. And then we'll just feed another wave into it and hear what it sounds like. Something like this. Maybe so. Maybe put this at 1. Then just change the way this looks to sort of, oops. So now D, I can add some like interesting upper harmonics. So I'm gonna use some white noise for the click of the kick. Gonna go into my envelope. I'm gonna put this at -24. Sounds like the white noise is just a little bit too loud. Put a little bit of high-end spread on it. And then, of course, we're electronic producers, so fuck mids. And I'm going to go in, and I'm going to go grab an EQ8, drop her in, bump up the bass, maybe add like a saturator over the top because it just kind of has a generic noise to it. Sounding kind of cool. And then last thing, we're going to add a compressor on it. Now for my compressor, I'd like some of the transients to kind of sneak through. So I'm going to have the attack just a little bit low. And I want that kind of like end interesting thing coming out. So I'm going to use a quick release actually. Sorry, did this wrong. And that's going to sort of expand the end of my kick sound. So that's just like a really basic Neuro kick. So this is my little tail segment. I just wanted to show that while these sounds are kind of boring and generic and doesn't really sound like there's a whole ton going on even when I put it in a loop, it's because I'm not really taking my time to edit or kind of develop the sounds. So here's just a little loop that I built off of it. It took me 20 additional minutes to do, and basically I took those initial ideas and I just went in and kept tweaking a little bit more, and I'm sort of building my song. So with those couple intro tutorials, you know, if you were doing this on your own, and with this little bit of glitch editing, it takes a total of what, 20 minutes to get this 10 or 12 second loop put together, and you put it back to back and it's like a 20-second drop with a little bit more of glitch editing, and you're not done because you still want to tweak your sounds and you want to make it sound really great. But I mean, look, just kind of knowing these general techniques and being able to jump into things and having an idea of where you're going saves you a whole ton of time. You put in like 30 or 40 minutes max and you're already, 20 seconds into your song. So here is my example. So I hope people get the idea from this.